Hi, we're Team 3 in the 3:30 p.m. Managerial Ethics and Stakeholder Management class. The three firms that we were tasked with making interviews with were K&L Gates, PwC, and BNY Mellon. My name is John Gratunka, and I was in the team that did the K&L Gates interview. K&L Gates is a 2,000 lawyer firm that was founded in Pittsburgh in 1946. It's the 8th largest law firm in the United States, and it's the 11th largest firm worldwide.
I'm Michael Zidek, and I'm presenting on behalf of the accounting team. So the firm that we interviewed was PricewaterhouseCoopers, known as PwC. It's one of the big four auditors. It is the world's second largest professional services network and has offices in 157 countries, employing more than 195,000 people.
Hi, I'm Adirsa Correa, and I'm part of the subgroup that presented on behalf of Bank of New York Mellon. They were established in New York City in 1784. They're currently in 40 different countries with more than 50,000 people and staff, and they are the oldest banking corporation in the United States.
Hi, once again, my name is John Gratunka, and I was part of the group that was tasked with going down to K&L Gates law firm and finding out more about their ethics policies. In order to do this, we interviewed one of their attorneys and asked them formal, informal, and corporate social responsibilities questions. I will now start to present some of our findings on the ethics policies of K&L Gates. In the law firm, all attorneys have to follow the Code of Professional Responsibilities. When it comes to ethics policies, they have an attorney's manual that covers all of their possible policies and procedures. When they are hired, they have sophisticated in-house training for new associates that lasts 3 full days. Also, every year, all attorneys have to sign to say that they have read all the policies again and are aware of changes in policies. When it comes to discipline, misconduct is not dealt with as swiftly as it could be. There has to be a thorough investigation, and once the facts become clear, then it is dealt with quickly and accurately. Sometimes these investigations can take months, and during this time, the attorney is still allowed to work at the firm. As far as management goes in the firm, and how management ties in with ethics, one of the main things they do in training is to try and instill the culture of high ethical standards that is present in K&L Gates. Because they are the founding office of the entire firm, their mission is to export culture to all their other offices around the world. Mr. Richardson, who was the attorney that we interviewed, stated that culture has to be set from the very top, and it can't just be a policy, but it has to be seen in action by the attorneys. So they try and instill their high ethical standards to the top management and have them set the standard for the rest of the attorneys in the firm. For example, their culture is that they are very conservative and they do not push the envelope. This is presented by the top management and in turn followed by the rest of the attorneys all throughout their offices in the world. Next, I'll talk about some of their ethics procedures. On a day-to-day basis, the biggest ethical issue in the firm is a conflict of interest between the different clients that K&L Gates represents. They cannot represent another party whose interests are connected, even in unrelated matters, to one of their other clients. They actually have a group of people in every office whose job it is to specifically check for conflicts of interest between new clients and ones that they currently have, or when a new case comes up with a current client, they again have to check and see if this would be a conflict of interest with anybody else that they represent. As far as the firm's structure goes, their office is governed by a management committee that acts like a board of directors. Each office branch has representation on the management committee. A chairperson, who is essentially a CEO, heads the management committee. There is also an administrative partner who is responsible for implementing all of their ethics policies. In each office, there are 7 different practice areas, and in each area there is a practice leader. All the staff knows whom they can talk to and where they can do that. There are multiple reporting channels depending on whom they want to talk to. However, claims cannot be anonymous. If an anonymous claims are made, it must be careful because it leaves the door open for false accusations. While they would act on it if someone sends something anonymously, they do not encourage it. When it comes to our informal findings, we found that the firm still highly values the culture that was set forth by Chuck Strauss, who was the original founder. Chuck still stops by the office to this day, and K&L Gates believes that Chuck illustrates the importance of doing the best for your clients and treating everyone in the firm with a great deal of respect. We also asked the attorney we interviewed about their corporate social responsibility. When it comes to corporate social responsibility, we found that all attorneys take community service very seriously. All attorneys are encouraged to do about 50 hours of pro bono work a year. The attorneys are paid at the same rate that they would be for a normal case when they're doing pro bono work. The firm also partakes in many other charitable events. An example of this would be that they have a firm-wide global day of service where all employees of K&L Gates are encouraged to go out on that day and do some sort of community service work. After asking these questions to the attorney we were interviewing, we had a few recommendations for the firm's ethics policies. We found that the discipline system, as well as the reporting system, could use some improvement. We could improve on the discipline system by having the actual discipline repercussions come a little sooner so that there's an immediate response for the individual's actions. One way to do this would be to put an individual on probation until the investigation is completed. This will both speed up the investigation process and will also have people understand that there are immediate consequences for their unethical actions. To improve the reporting system, we would suggest that K&L Gates create some sort of system where people will be able to report unethical actions anonymously. Even though they have channels and people that individuals can report to, there might be times when an employee feels that they can't report something because of their name being attached to it. We know that they mentioned that they worry about false accusations, but when an anonymous claim is made, there could be some sort of identification number so that the individual could be contacted if necessary. However, their name still would not be attached to the actual complaint. These are our findings on K&L Gates' ethics and corporate social responsibility policies. Next up, Michael will be presenting his findings on PricewaterhouseCoopers' ethics policies and corporate social responsibility actions.
Hi, I'm Michael, and I'm presenting on behalf of the accounting sub-team. The firm that we interviewed for this project was PricewaterhouseCoopers. We had the opportunity to interview Donald Broman, who's a partner with the firm. And so now I'm going to discuss some of the ethical policies and procedures of the firm. So first up, we have the structure of the firm. PwC is different from typical companies because instead of having a chain of command that leads up to one CEO of the company, it has hundreds of partners that actually head the various offices that they have in different cities around the globe. These partners report any ethical misconduct that they see by employees, and there's an ethics hotline that's available for all employees to voice their concerns about any ethical issues that they see among their coworkers or their client. With regards to the ethical policies of PwC, the partner we interviewed, Mr. Roman, said, "Our reputational risk is bigger than our financial risk in many situations, so ethical considerations are first and foremost." As a result, PwC incorporates ethics into its hiring procedures and, with regards to training its existing employees. So whenever potential employees are interviewed, behavioral questions are asked that relate to ethical procedures. Integrity is also a trait that's emphasized during the orientation process for new employees, as well as training currently existing employees. Our team leader, Michal Lahuja, was an intern at PwC this past semester. At the start of his internship, he was required to complete many computerized portals called e-learns. These were videos that were around 8 to 10 hours long, and they pretty much familiarized new employees with the company's ethical policies and procedures. This is a part of PricewaterhouseCoopers' formal code of conduct and something they emphasize from day one. This company also has a zero tolerance policy with regards to ethical infractions, and if an employee goes against the code of conduct, they'll be dismissed and fired without hesitation. Also, there is an annual confirmation process where you not only are trained, but you also confirm that you are in compliance with all the ethical policies each year. So now that I've gone over some of the formal policies, I'll list some of the more informal policies relating to ethics found within PwC. When they had their tax leadership meeting, the guest speaker was an individual who climbed mountains all around the world. So we talked about how he overcame obstacles. Another speaker they had was a Navy SEAL who talked about teamwork and trusting your fellow workers. So these guest speakers help to instill certain ethical values within the employees that aren't necessarily stated within the rule book. Furthermore, ethical behavior is implicit within every conversation. Although it isn't part of formal conversations, the way people talk and act in the firm is in an ethical manner, using ethical language, and according to what they deem to be ethically sound. Now we'll discuss corporate social responsibility. PricewaterhouseCoopers' approach to corporate social responsibility focuses on 4 areas: responsible business, diversity and inclusion, community engagement, and environmental stewardship. So with regards to responsible business, they consider alternative reporting approaches and standards for accounting. They also promote transparency among non-government organizations and private companies. With regards to their diversity and inclusion, they encourage open-mindedness, so the idea that talent has no race, age, or gender. They create career opportunities for people, and they try to create a better workplace for their own employees. They also are quite engaged in the community. They support education programs, they support social entrepreneurs who attempt to add socioeconomic value to their communities, and they contribute to disaster recovery around the globe. Finally, they practice environmental stewardship. So they're a company that reports their greenhouse gas emissions, they support the development of water management best practices, and they are involved in creating sustainable office environments. So after interviewing the partner at the firm, we examined some of his statements, we looked at PwC's ethical policies, and we came up with some recommendations for what we think they can do to improve from an ethical standpoint. Instead of having a zero tolerance rule, we feel that they should really investigate the situation and go through all of the ethical policies before they're just so quick to dismiss an employee. So perhaps having an investigation rather than just outright firing someone. Another recommendation that we have for PwC is to alter their evaluation and compensation process. So they already have an evaluation and compensation process done annually, or whenever someone's in a position to be promoted or leave the company. However, we feel this evaluation should be done semi-annually in order to ensure that every employee is on top of his or her work and complying with all of the various ethical policies present within the company. And this would, hopefully improve the ethical standards of employees or individuals they're promoting within the company. Those were our findings from our interview with PwC, and also some of our recommendations that we had after the fact. Now we are going to move on to BNY Mellon, and Edison is going to be presenting that.
I'm Edison. I'll be presenting on BNY Mellon ethics policies. All employees must follow a formal code of ethics. The code is circulated to all employees, and they are required to take a refresher course on it. Following the code of conduct is even included in employee performance reviews. Employees are not only encouraged, but required to report problems or ethical issues. Failure to report a problem would likely cause consequences for the employee. Formal reporting channels are available, and reports can be anonymous if need be. Ethics and culture overrules any authority. Employees are trained to do what is right, even if it goes against what they are told to do. In these cases, employees have various resources that vary by department to report misconduct. Next, I'll be discussing the management. Managers and non-managers alike are trained in company ethics, and ethical decision-making is incorporated into managerial goals. Bob Maley, who we interviewed, said that his legal department's daily commitment is to ensure that the company adheres to all laws. Therefore, ethics talk is part of the daily conversation. Organizational leadership also consistently delivers messages speaking to the necessity of ethical conduct. All of this ethically is essential for BNY Mellon because large banks could potentially face heavy fines for breaking good ethical conduct. Furthermore, employees need consistent support from leadership. Next, I'll be talking about the procedure. Ethical concerns are incorporated into formal decision-making processes. Ethical concerns take precedence over financial concerns. Integrity is strongly emphasized in onboarding programs for new hires. A typical question for these new hirees are, recall a situation in which you had to make an ethical situation. Next, the structure. Any reported misconduct is subject to an investigation regardless of the organizational level. There is a dedicated ethics office to assist employees when they need guidance. The ethics office operates an ethics helpline. The ethics helpline is confidential in an anonymous way to ask questions or report concerns. Next, I'll be discussing some informal facts. Some role models at BNY Mellon through the Bank of New York can trace its history back to Alexander Hamilton. Because of this, BNY Mellon employees consider themselves employees of the oldest bank in the United States. This strong history suggests stability in an environment that tends to be extremely competitive. Rituals. BNY Mellon hosts various awards presentations of employees. These awards tend to focus on hard work and dedication to the organization rather than the income generated by these individual employees. Norms. Social events vary across the departments of the bank. Bob Maley's team attends occasional happy hours after work or even occasional bowling events, which help build cohesiveness throughout his team and help improve communication barriers, both of which are essential to ethical organization. Next, I'll be discussing the corporate social responsibilities. BNY Mellon sponsors numerous community outreach projects. During these projects, employees are paid to spend a day doing volunteer work. Bob Maley, the BNY Mellon employee we spoke with, takes advantage of this to help out his community. Last spring, he spent a day cleaning up litter along the Three Rivers Heritage Trail. Employees can also organize their own charity work, which BNY Mellon will donate to. Also, according to their website, BNY Mellon's Global Community Partnership Program partners with nonprofits to improve the social and economic conditions in which they do business in. Community partnership combines charitable grants, sponsorships, and the dedicated involvement of its employees to make a positive difference in the communities around the world. Next, I'll be discussing some recommendations that we have. 1. Emphasize to all employees, particularly lower level workers, where they fit in the grand scheme of things. It is vital that all employees understand why it is important to follow ethical standards. This can be done by providing some personalization on each department's ethical standards. 2. It is important for all of the refresher courses taken by employees to ask specific questions. This would accurately depict a worker's ethical dilemma faced at the bank. 3. Add a general Q&A section to the Code of Ethics in order to outline specific scenarios that an employee may often face during a common workday.
To conclude our presentation, we are now going to discuss some of the similarities and differences that we found in the ethics and corporate social responsibility policies of each firm. First, I'll talk about some of the similarities in each firm. As far as ethics policies go, each firm had an employee hiring process where all of the new employees went through a training manual that taught them the ethics policies in each firm. As far as structure goes, some of the similarities that we found were that all the organizations had some sort of leadership. The leadership consisted of divisional managers or partners that oversaw different parts of their respective company. Informally, each organization used different role models to emphasize the importance of their ethical and cultural standards. As far as corporate social responsibility goes, each company spent a lot of time and money in an attempt to create a better business environment in their community. Now, as far as the differences go throughout each firm, K&L Gates does not have an ethics hotline, but BNY Mellon and PricewaterhouseCoopers both have ethics hotlines and a system where each employee's concerns can be reported anonymously. As far as structure goes, K&L Gates and PwC have partners, while BNY Mellon has the same structure of a traditional public corporation. As far as their informal systems go, while BNY Mellon and PwC have social events for their employees like bowling and happy hour, K&L Gates does not have any of these sort of events, and they do not participate in social interactions outside of the office. When it comes to corporate social responsibility, some of the differences that we saw were that they varied in specific ways when it came to volunteering in the community and the sort of community service projects that they engaged in. That wraps up our presentation on PricewaterhouseCoopers, K&L Gates, and BNY Mellon, and I hope that you learned a lot more about their ethics and corporate social responsibility policies and some of the differences and similarities that they have with those. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.